Well, I hope you're all ready for this week's chapter because it's going to be absolute fire, and I don't mean the fire within Hakari's belly for battle or whatever. I'm talking about the masterclass in writing that we're about to get from Gege himself. Gege seems to be setting us up for this meta melee between Hakari and Charlie, and as much as I'm enjoying Charlie's powers, I know we haven't seen anything yet, so what's the hype for? Well, that's easy. Akutami Sensei is about to give us the do's and don'ts on how to write a proper shonen fight. So obviously, if you haven't read up to 182, I suggest you leave now. This is your spoiler warning, so you better not be here when I get back.
Go crazy, go crazy, go crazy, no crazy, no crazy, no crazy,
Hi, my name is Shonen, and today I not only want to talk about why I think Gege is about to drop us some nice little writing gems, but also what he's done with the Culling game so far that draws me to this conclusion. So without further ado, let's jump right into it and start talking about Yuta. I know, I can't help myself, I'm a fanboy. But to keep it brief, Yuta's the main character of the one-shot, or the prequel series, and at the end of it, we get a reveal that his power is somewhat limitless, but it doesn't really matter in the end because he's seemingly stripped of it anyway. So I was hyped for Yuta's reintroduction, but somewhat nervous as well because I don't want him to come back nerfed into the ground just to set him up to die later on. That would be so whack. But I don't want him to be overpowered either because then we have another Gojo on the field and stakes don't matter at all. That was the fear I had when we first saw Rika, so getting the distinction between Cursed Technique Rika and Rika Orimoto was great. It was a nice explanation because that way you get to keep Yuta's main character uniqueness, or I guess his special powers as the previous main character, but you also nerf him quite a bit, but not enough that, you know, he becomes susceptible to power creep. And just to solidify his spot as one of the best and not the best, Yuta goes on to solo Sendai Colony. Granted, it was a free-for-all in the end there, but I'm going to count that as a 1v4. And either way, it was just a great way to reintroduce your previous protagonist without him overshadowing the current one. And speaking of the current MC, what Gege has been able to do with Yuji this arc so far has been amazing. Yuji starts this arc out with an immense sense of guilt weighing him down, and we actually have this pointed out by Yuta when he basically tells us that Yuji was holding back during their little scuffle. Yuji then goes on to meet Higurama, this defense attorney who becomes a prosecutor when he activates his technique. And it's not just a good fight for Yuji, it's mutually beneficial. We stumble upon Higurama trying to take advantage of this Culling chaos until he makes a full 180 when Yuji confesses to a crime he did not commit. That same guilt which held Yuji back before becomes the turning point for this battle, as Higurama is kind of confronted with his own guilt. He kind of remembers how he didn't want to be a judge in the first place, deactivates his technique, and essentially holds back the same way that Yuji did. This confrontation ends with a brief discussion between the two, as Higurama goes on to explain both morally and legally why Yuji shouldn't feel at fault here. And it may not bring either of them out of their pit of despair, but it gives both of them a ladder to climb out. And lastly, my prediction for our current star, Hakari. Now, Gege has shown us how to take care of your previous main character, your current main character, and now he's going to show us how to take care of characters in general, specifically during a fight. I'm fully expecting Charlie versus Hakari to blow my mind because why wouldn't it? I mean, we have a mangaka here who's literally asking for a positive reason to fight because he knows it's going to be more interesting for the reader. Funny enough, that's exactly what we just got out of Yuta, right? 3 times over. He fights for his love, to protect his mentor, and I guess to end world hunger. So right now we have a mangaka fighter who has the ability to see his opponent's next move by literally looking at the bottom left panel versus a manga fan who owns a fight club and writes the scripts for his fights to make them more entertaining. We may see some serious debate between the two on how to properly write a fight, and I'm expecting in the meantime for Akutami to get really creative with his paneling here. For example, if Charlie can see the bottom left panel, or I guess 2 seconds into his opponent's future, then I'm expecting Hakari to attack at the top left panel of the next page, or 3 seconds later. We may also see some debate on whether or not characters need reasons to fight, because I mean, we just got out of Sendai Colony and only 2 of our 4 opponents got reasons. And it did flesh them out, not a ton, but just enough for us to care about him. Charlie's already bound to give us some type of spiel about his past, or, you know, try to give us some motivation or something like that, and Hakari is more than likely to not care about it. But we also did get some context for Yuta's motives, or for why he was doing what he was doing. So I wonder if Gege is going to force Hakari into doing the same thing, or if he's just naturally going to do it. I think at the very least, this fight is going to give us a lot to discuss, and not just in the context of this story, but for Shonen in general. Because at the end of the day, the outcome is going to be Akutami Sensei's sort of philosophy or his thoughts on how to write a great battle shonen. So if you or anyone you know likes or reads shonen and doesn't really care about the spoilers in this video, then I suggest you tune in because it's going to be a real treat. Of course, there's always a surprise factor with good shonen, so at any point in time, Hajime could just pop in and turn all this theorizing to dust, but I'm still sure it'll be great. Anyway, that's all I got for today, so if you enjoyed this video, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe for more theories, discussions, and reviews. Bye.